A proposed change to Denver police policy would expand when officers are allowed to use tasers. The city's police watchdog says that could put people at risk. 9 News reporter Ria Jha breaks down the details and the proposal with pushback.
The Denver Police Department is looking to change its use of force policy.
I had several concerns regarding the new policy.
But the department's watchdog has a bone to pick with those proposed changes.
Yes, watchdog is the term that is used quite often.
Elizabeth Perez-Castle runs the Office of the Independent Monitor. This week, they issued a report.
We issued that report based upon a Denver Police Department draft policy regarding a new taser.
DPD now wants to lower the threshold for when officers can deploy a taser.
Currently, the taser is used in instances of what's called active aggression.
Meaning someone is threatening or attempting to hurt an officer or another person.
The lesser degree of force is known as defensive resistance.
The proposed rule would allow officers to use a taser on people who are resisting them or trying to get away, but don't necessarily present a threat, something they categorize as defensive resistance.
The concern is that will put many more community members at risk of harm.
In a statement, DPD argued that using a taser earlier in a confrontation could stop situations from escalating into violence and reduce serious injuries.
I'm not aware of any scientific data that indicates that using taser with defensive resistance leads to safer outcomes.
The department also said the proposed policy changes are tied to its rollout of a new taser model. The old taser had a 50,000 max voltage. The new taser has a 1,000 max voltage.
It will still incapacitate a subject. That's the purpose.
In her report, she suggests that DPD restarts the process and involve the people they serve.
The current use of force policy was put together based upon a task force of community members. They should follow that process again.
DPD says it mistakenly published the policy before the Office of the Independent Monitor could provide recommendations, then rescinded it. The department now says it's in the process of reviewing those recommendations. The superintendent of the second largest school district in Colorado is stepping down. Tracy Dorland says she'll leave Jefferson County Public Schools on July 5th. She did not elaborate on her new opportunity. It's been a bit of a rough go. Last May, the teachers union called for a change in leadership and held a no confidence vote. They accused Dorland of making decisions behind closed doors, not listening to the community, and not addressing student safety. They also said there was a lack of transparency with the community about investigations into school staff. The school board has not yet named an interim superintendent. Canvas, the online learning platform used by thousands of schools across the country, is back online after a cyber attack caused a widespread outage during finals week for some schools. The outage impacted students at colleges across the state, leaving many unable to access grades, assignments, presentations, and class materials. It created a lot of confusion as students repeatedly tried to log in yesterday.
Few are a little bit nervous, and the other few were excited. It's like, oh, no finals, yay! But I think it's overall just a vibe of uncertainty. We're all afraid when we're uncertain.
Now, MSU Denver says access was restored yesterday, and students, faculty, and staff can now get back on the platform. The university says there is currently no evidence that passwords, personal information, or financial information were compromised during that attack. Democratic Governor Jared Polis fought to keep religious schools that discriminate from getting state preschool funding, but he just opted Colorado into a federal program that could send them money. We asked the governor yesterday how that adds up. The program, created through President Trump's budget bill, allows individuals to donate to charities that fund school scholarships. In return, they can receive a federal tax credit of up to $1,700. Colorado currently restricts state preschool tax dollars from being used by private and religious schools that discriminate. The U.S. Supreme Court just agreed to hear a challenge to that. But in a way, the program Polis opted into means federal dollars could flow indirectly to religious schools. We asked Governor Polis how he reconciles that. He told us one has to do with state resources, the other is donor money.
I mean, sure, there are some that think you shouldn't get any deduction for giving to certain nonprofits. I think it's a very dangerous road to go down, because then you have kind of government determining what's worthy.
Colorado was the first state with a Democrat governor to opt in. This week, New York's Democratic governor said that state would also opt in. The governors of Kansas and Kentucky, both Democrats, vetoed legislation to opt in, but the Republican legislators in those states overrode the vetoes, opting those states in.